All right, so get ready because we're going deep on this one. We're
Right.
diving into an academic paper,
Right.
and the title is Chicken, 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 Chicken.
Wow.
You think I'm kidding, right?
Sound
But I'm serious.
interesting.
It's an actual published paper,
Right.
and it's filled with like nothing beat the word chicken
Oh, wow.
over and over and over again.
Okay.
We've got graphs and charts and equations.
Oh, my gosh.
All just drenched in chicken.
Wow.
So naturally, we have to unpack this thing. Like,
Yeah.
what is the point of this?
Right.
Is it just some kind of like academic inside joke?
You've actually hit on the core idea right away.
Okay.
It's academic satire.
Okay.
The author, Doug Zonker,
Mm-hmm.
uses this seemingly ridiculous paper
Right.
to poke fun at something that I think many of us have experienced.
Okay.
And that is academic jargon.
Ah, okay.
That tendency for some writing to get so dense and convoluted
Right.
that it's almost meaningless.
Oh, okay. So he's basically saying that like some academic writing
Yeah.
is so full of itself that it might as well just be like clucking.
Yeah.
But why go to all this trouble?
Yeah.
Why not just like write an essay?
Right?
And just critique this kind of language directly?
Ah.
Why all this?
But that's where the brilliance of satire comes in.
Okay.
By creating this absurd, chickenized world.
Right.
Zonker forces us to experience the frustration of jargon firsthand.
Okay.
And let's
Yeah.
be honest,
Yeah.
it's way more memorable and
Yeah.
impactful
Right.
than a straightforward essay would be.
I'll give you that. Like a dry essay titled
Yeah.
The Problem with Jargon wouldn't exactly like grab me.
Yeah.
But here's what's interesting to me.
Yeah.
This paper wasn't just tossed around online. This was published in an actual academic journal.
You're exactly right.
Right.
And that in itself is a whole other layer of satire.
Interesting.
The journal is called the Annals of Improbable Research.
Okay.
And
I've heard of that.
they're known for publishing research that makes you laugh,
Okay.
but also makes you think.
Right.
They even award the Ig Nobel Prizes,
Right. Right.
which celebrate research that first makes people laugh and then makes them think.
So he's playing with the whole system then.
Yeah.
Not just the writing style.
It's true.
He's using their platform to kind of critique them.
Yeah.
And they're in on the joke.
Yeah, they are.
But was there like any pushback from the academic community? You'd think some people wouldn't be very amused by this.
What's fascinating is that the paper went viral,
Really?
and not just within academic circles.
Oh,
People from all walks of life resonated with it,
that's interesting.
likely because
Yeah.
we've all experienced the frustration of impenetrable jargon at some point.
Oh, for sure.
Whether it's a
Yeah.
legal document or a technical manual or even just a confusing email,
Right.
we've all felt that like, moment.
Oh, absolutely. Like those terms and conditions nobody ever reads.
It might as well just be chicken, chicken, chicken.
Right.
Because who understands that stuff anyway?
Right.
So Zonker is using humor
Yes.
to highlight a genuine problem.
It's true.
But let's zoom in on the paper itself for a minute.
Okay.
What about all those graphs and charts filled with chicken?
Yeah.
Like, is there any method to the madness?
That's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
The visuals actually mimic the kinds of graphs and charts
Okay.
that you would see in a regular research paper.
Right.
He's got bar charts showing the frequency of chicken in different sections of the paper.
Wow.
Pie charts illustrating the distribution of chicken across various academic disciplines.
So it's meticulous.
All meticulously labeled and formatted.
So he's like saying, even if the data is nonsense,
Yeah,
you can make it look convincing.
Exactly.
If you dress it up in the right visuals.
precisely.
Like you could be presenting on literally anything.
Yeah,
But as long as there's a fancy graph,
right.
people might just nod along. Precisely. He's satirizing how data can be manipulated and presented in misleading ways,
Huh.
even when the underlying information is meaningless.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's incredibly relevant,
Yeah.
especially today when we're constantly bombarded with information and data.
Right. It's like that saying,
Yeah.
there are lies, damned lies, and statistics.
Right.
You can make numbers tell whatever story you want if you're clever enough.
Yeah.
But is he just poking fun at this, or is there like a deeper point he's making?
Well, that's where things start to get really thought-provoking.
Okay.
What Zonker is highlighting goes beyond just bad writing or misleading visuals.
Okay.
He's actually touching on the very nature of power and communication.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's dive into that.
Yeah.
What's the connection between chicken, chicken, chicken and power dynamics?
Okay. So think about it this way.
Okay.
Jargon and overly complex language
Right.
can be used as a tool
Yeah.
to exclude people,
Okay.
to create a sense of insider knowledge. It can be a way of saying,
Right.
you're not part of this club unless you speak our language.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
It's like a secret handshake, but with words.
Exactly.
If you don't know the code,
Yeah,
you're automatically on the outside.
exactly. And who holds the power in that situation?
Right.
The people who control the language.
Right.
And this can play out in all sorts of fields, academia, law,
Yeah.
finance,
Yeah.
even in our everyday interactions.
Yeah.
Jargon can be used to intimidate, to confuse,
Right.
and ultimately to control.
So it's not just about clarity of communication.
Right.
It's about the power dynamics that language creates.
It's true.
I'm seeing this paper in a whole new light now.
And that's what makes Zonker's satire so brilliant.
Yeah.
He's not just making us laugh at silly chicken words.
Right.
He's making us question the ways in which language is used to wield power,
Okay.
often in subtle and insidious ways.
But let's be real.
Yeah.
Not everyone who uses jargon
Right.
is doing it to intentionally manipulate or exclude others.
True.
Sometimes it's just people being lazy
Yeah.
or not realizing the impact of their words.
That's true.
Right.
And it's important to acknowledge that not all jargon is inherently bad.
Right.
In specialized fields, technical language can be necessary for precision and efficiency.
Okay.
The problem arises when it becomes a barrier to understanding,
Yeah.
when it's used to obfuscate rather than to clarify.
So it's a matter of context and intent.
Exactly.
But how do we know
Right.
when jargon is being used legitimately
Right.
and when it's being used as a tool of power?
That's where critical thinking comes in.
Okay.
We need to start paying attention to the language we encounter and asking ourselves some key questions.
Like what?
Who's using this language and why?
Okay.
Is it being used to clarify or to confuse?
Okay.
Who benefits from this language and who is excluded?
So it's about becoming more conscious consumers of information. We can't just passively absorb
Right.
whatever language is thrown at us.
Yeah.
We need to actively engage with it
It's true.
and question its underlying purpose.
Exactly. And that's a skill that's applicable in so many areas of life.
Absolutely.
Whether we're reading a news article,
Yeah.
listening to a political speech,
Right.
or even just having a conversation with a colleague,
Right.
we need to be attuned to the nuances of language and the ways in which it can be used
Right.
to shape our understanding of the world.
It's like we're all playing this giant language game,
Yeah.
and Zonker's paper is giving us the cheat codes.
I like that.
But let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
While we're celebrating Zonker's genius,
Right.
I can't help but wonder,
Yeah.
was he just messing around?
Yeah.
Or did he set out
Yeah.
to make this like grand statement about academic writing?
Interestingly enough,
Okay.
Zonker himself has said
Yeah.
that the paper started as a simple doodle during a particularly boring conference.
Really?
He started writing chicken over and over again in his notebook.
Okay.
And the idea for the paper just kind of took off from there.
So a moment of boredom sparked this whole phenomenon.
It's amazing.
It's a testament to the power of creative thinking, I guess.
It is.
But even if it started as a jerk,
Right.
it clearly struck a chord with a lot of people.
It did.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because the paper taps into a universal experience.
Oh, okay.
The frustration of feeling lost in a sea of jargon.
Oh, yeah,
We've all been there.
for sure.
Whether it's trying to decipher a legal document,
Right.
struggling to understand a technical manual, or just feeling talked down to by someone
Right.
who's using overly complex language.
It's like that feeling of being the only one in the room
Right.
who doesn't get the joke.
Yeah.
You feel dumb,
Yeah.
excluded,
Yeah.
powerless.
Yeah.
And Zonker's paper captures that feeling perfectly. Even if it is through the absurd lens of chicken, chicken, chicken.
Right.
And by doing so,
Yeah.
it gives us permission
I think so.
to question that feeling, to
Right.
say, hey, maybe it's not me.
Right.
Maybe it's the language that's the problem.
Exactly.
So it's empowering in a way.
It is.
It gives us the confidence
I think so.
to challenge the status quo and demand clarity.
Yes.
But let's be honest,
Right.
not everyone is going to be receptive to that.
That's true.
Some people might see it as a threat
Yeah.
to their authority or expertise.
Absolutely. There will always be people who benefit
Yeah,
from keeping others in the dark,
right.
who use language
Yeah,
as a tool of control and manipulation.
yeah.
But that's all the more reason
Okay,
why we need to be vigilant,
okay.
be critical thinkers,
Mm-hmm.
and demand clear and accessible communication.
It's like Zonkers handing us a flashlight
Yeah,
and
fab.
saying, go explore the dark corners of language.
Right.
See what you find.
Yes.
But what do we do
Right.
when we find something we don't like?
Right.
When we encounter jargon
Yeah.
that's being used to obfuscate or exclude?
That's where it becomes important to speak up.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to ask for clarification,
Yeah.
to challenge jargon,
Right.
to demand simplicity.
Right.
Remember, language should be a tool for understanding,
Right.
not a barrier to it.
Yeah. It's like we have a responsibility to not let language be weaponized against understanding.
Right.
But pushing back against that can be intimidating,
It can.
especially like when you're dealing with someone in a position of authority.
It definitely can be.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to remember that we're not alone in this.
Right.
Zonker's paper shows us
Yeah.
that there's a whole community of people who are pushing back against jargon
Okay.
and demanding clearer communication.
So it's like a silent rebellion against the tyranny of convoluted language.
I love.
But where do we even start?
Right.
Feels like such a big problem.
You're right. It is a big problem.
Yeah.
But like any big problem,
Yeah.
it can be tackled one small step at a time.
Okay.
And sometimes
Yeah.
those small steps
Yeah.
can start with something as simple as asking a question.
So instead of just nodding along
Right.
and pretending we understand,
Yeah.
we need to have the courage to say,
Yeah.
what does that even mean?
Exactly.
Right.
And don't be afraid to ask for clarification
Yeah.
multiple times if you need to.
Okay.
Remember, you have a right to understand.
Right.
And the more we ask questions,
Yeah.
the more we normalize the expectation
Right.
of clear communication.
It's like we're collectively training the people around us
Yeah.
to speak in a way that we can all understand.
Yeah. I like that.
But it's not just tea about asking questions, is it?
No, it's not.
We also need to be mindful of the language we use ourselves.
Absolutely. We need to be aware of the potential for jargon. Yeah. To creep into our own communication.
Right.
And we need to make a conscious effort
Okay.
to use language that is clear,
Mm-hmm.
concise,
Right.
and accessible.
So it's a two-way street.
It is.
We need to be both critical consumers of language
Right.
and responsible producers of it.
Absolutely.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes jargon can be tempting.
It can.
It can make us feel smart,
Right.
important.
Yeah.
Like we're part of the in crowd.
That's true.
Right.
There's a certain allure,
Yeah.
exclusivity.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
Yeah.
true intelligence lies in being able to communicate complex ideas
Right.
in a way that anyone can understand.
So it's not about dumbing things down.
Right.
It's about making them accessible.
Exactly.
And maybe that's the most important takeaway from Zonker's paper.
It might be.
He's shown us that even the most complex ideas can be communicated
Yeah.
clearly and effectively
Right.
without resorting to jargon
Yeah.
or convoluted language.
Exactly. And by doing so,
Yeah.
he's given us a powerful tool
Yeah.
for challenging the status quo
Okay.
and creating a more inclusive and equitable world.
Okay. Yeah.
One where everyone has the opportunity to understand and be understood.
It all circles back to that chicken, chicken, chicken.
It does.
It's a reminder that language can be used to illuminate
Yes,
or to obfuscate.
that's right.
And it's up to us
Yeah.
to choose which path we want to take.
Well said.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Okay.
Remember, the next time you find yourself lost in a sea of jargon,
Yeah.
channel your inner Doug Zonker.
Okay.
Embrace the absurdity.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
And demand clarity.
Okay.
You might be surprised at what you discover.
And who knows, you might even inspire a few people along the way
That's right.
to simplify their own language.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Of course, my pleasure.
It's been a real eye-opener.
It has.
Until next time,
Yes.
happy diving.